So next, I would like to welcome Jakub Ditrich, who is probably the largest operator of public park charging systems for electric bicycles in Czech Republic for sure. And looking forward what you can let us know about your experience and your plans.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks a lot for inviting me here. Yeah, I have some slides, so filming. It will accelerate the adoption. You could be sure about this because no one is willing to carry the e-bike charge, even the small one. No one wants to carry them for sure. And as was displayed, the difference between this cable, which is a normal USB-A, USB-C cable, and this cable, which is the charging station cable, is that this cable is universal and this is not, because we always have to carry the special connector which fits to very e-bike. I want to have one cable for my phone and for my mobile device. I want to have one cable for my e-bike. Generally, you could use the USB to charge some e-bikes. There are a couple e-bikes here on the show which does use the USB interface, but because we will be speaking about the fast charging as well, the USB has no chance to get there. Let's start first. Why do we need have a safe charging infrastructure? The charging infrastructure which actually does the communication between the charging device and between the bike. I think we have seen this in the news like many times. I think how many years is it when the house of some very wealthy man in Germany was burned down because of the e-bike charge? I think it was a funny story. The house cost about a couple million euro. There have been many. Okay, but that one was something special, like a Schwarzkopf owner or something like this. Anyway, so many houses were burned all around the globe just because of the charging unsafely, mainly with the unsafe charges. Generally to say, 90% of the fires of the late LED batteries are getting a fire while they're charging. My colleagues from the firefighter department declare so. I already show it, so I'm showing it here again. So we do have a standard for charging mobile devices, including all the mobile phones and laptops. We do have a standard for charging the cars, for AC charging and for DC charging as well. At least in Europe, we have this hefty, beautiful CCS2 plug, but we don't really have a plug yet for charging the e-bikes. Actually, we do have it because in the first presentation, it was being shown that the standard is already in place. But if you go around and you ask the e-bike manufacturers whether they have a clue there is some standard listed for the e-bike charge, they do not have a clue about this yet. But they will, because all these plugs which you can see above, and there are just, 6 of them, but someone is collecting butterflies or post stamps. I'm collecting the plugs, so it's my pervert hobby. And I have a PDF list which includes about 65 of different plugs which are being used in Europe. And I think I'm not complete yet. So if you have some odd plug, just send a picture to me and I will add it to my collection. Anyway, all of those are being used without the communication, so they are perceived to be unsafe. There are few which are safe because they do have a communication, at least the Bosch Smart at the side. but because it's provided by one producer only for one system, the consumers are getting to something which we call the vendor log, while you cannot actually buy a charger from the third party. It's not so true anymore, even because the Chinese doesn't sleep and they do have a chargers, the non-original chargers for the Bosch e-bikes as well. But it's a kind of tricky situation. Well, okay. There will be more and more e-bikes. There were some figures listed in the Bike Europe yesterday. There was some press release from the German Bicycle Association that the market is getting up again. I think it was about 15% up in Germany. 500,000 pieces of e-bikes in the first quarter of this year. So these figures were listed even before the downturn after Corona, but I think 70 million operational e-bikes in Europe in 2030 is not a mystery. It could be a real truth. Most of those e-bikes will be still charged at home, but many users will be happy to use them outside. For the home charging as well, there is an EU declaration. Actually, there are two documents which does require some facility for the e-bike charging as well. You could see the European Cycling Declaration, which is actually very weak document, which is just saying what it will be nice to have, but it's not binding to any governments. It's not binding to any any decision maker, but it's nice to have it that all the EU member states does agree in the declarations that there we have to be supporting the deployment of the charging point for the e-bikes. So it's really nice. So any member state who will put the money, the public money, into the charging infrastructure for the e-bikes will have a base in here. But there is also a directive which is being valid from this year, from January 1st, which is about energy performance in the buildings, which exactly require the installing the recharging points not only for the car stalls, but also for the stalls for the bicycles. So of course, there could be a shuto, as you call it, or 220 volts socket, or there could be some kind of charging station which is equipped with the DC cables. So the workers, the employees of the company doesn't need to carry their own charger and be in threat the charger is getting stolen, but they could have some cables. The solution which we are showing here, and there are about 10 stations here around the hall 8, and another 10 stations are installed at the bicycle parking outside the hall 12. It's called power box. The power box is a wall box which consists of 6 DC ports for charging via the standard interface. It means the IEC interface listed. You can call it also Rosenberger, but Rosenberger plug looks a bit different though. So this is the standard interface which could be used freely on any e-bike with the CAN-based communication. So all you need is to have a wall box, a charging station, charging cable, and some maintenance which is done by the cloud. I start with the safety, I end up with the safety. Originally, our showcase supposed to be outside the hall 8 because it's impossible to charge an e-bike inside here because there are some rules about that. because of the big wall we have and because of the theoretical windy condition, we were not allowed to build our stand outside. So we moved inside now. So if you want to find us on the other side of the Hall 8, you will see the powerbox stand. The probability anything happened was very low, but still we were actually moved out. So Germany and Europe really relies on the safety. If you walk around, as Hannes mentioned, there will be so many e-bikes in this hall which are being charged unsafely because of the lack of bi-directional communication between the charger and the battery, and nobody actually cares about this. So I think this is something what our industry has to really think of, but you will not find us outside the Hall 8, but inside the Hall 8.